one. Welcome to another installment of Ask a Black Dude. Today's conversation is about a word that is synonymous with racism. That's right, the N-word. But what about its sibling? The one with the A at the end, not that horrible ER. We will get into that first. Today's guest, I will introduce a lot more smoothly than what I did right there. He is the host of Under Pressure Sports and Toledo native, Kyle Barney. Brother, how you doing?
Good, Lamont. How you doing, man?
You know what? This is my second time doing this, and hopefully we get better as these installments grow. But I'm just stumbling through it. You think doing the show Under Pressure Sports, you'll be a little bit better at this, but it is what it is.
Man, when I started mine, I had a lot of issues at the beginning too. It's a growing process.
So let's hop right into it. The N-word. It is always a topic of conversation. And controversy really between who can say it and who can't say it, and what context can it be said, what it can't be said. So I definitely want to have people on like yourself as the series grows to see what their experience with the word is. You grew up in the Toledo area, that's Northern Ohio. For those who are watching this that are not part of the Midwest, do you want to talk about that, about your community real quick, how diverse it was or was not?
Sure. Yeah. For those that don't know, Toledo is it's a pretty diverse a city. We got a little bit of everything. So my neighborhood in particular, I remember when I was a lot younger, at least in my recollection, it was mostly white. But as I got older, I don't know what exactly led to it, but property values dropping, whatever it was, we had a lot of my friends' families moved to suburbs, and throughout the course of the years, it became a much more diverse neighborhood. So by the time I was about 13, I would say, my family, obviously being white, we were much in the minority grouping in my neighborhood as opposed to how it was when I was a lot younger. So, it was a very, very diverse growing up. I've had friends of all ethnic backgrounds. And my two closest friends that I've been friends with for almost 20 years now, Derek and Jerome, shout out, been my best friends, like I said, since middle school. Both of them African American. Derek was the best man at my wedding. Jerome's the godfather of my son. So, I've never been one to judge anybody just on the way they look. I'll judge you if you act like a bleep hole to me. But I'm not going to judge anybody based on how they look. So, I've always had a very diverse group of friends, in my own personal life as well as what I grew up around.
Yeah, it sounds very familiar to the area that me and a few people that I know we grew up in southeastern Michigan, where, like you said, the diversity is more pronounced, or at least we believe it's more pronounced than the rest of America. So you tend to grow up in these areas where the clear problems of racism or the clear problems of prejudice aren't clearly shown. They are there, but because of the community around yourself, it's kind of not as prevalent. And it sounds like you were not the opposite of me, but I'm a person, for those who don't know, who saw the last episode. Those are my best friends of 25 years. So having the two Anglo dudes, Caucasian dudes, kind of the opposite of you, Barney. But yeah, you mentioned while growing up in that community, in that diverse area, did you ever hear the hateful N-word with the ER at all? Growing up in that community.
For me, personally, in actual real life, I can't recall. I mean, even to this day, really, being in the presence of somebody that actually full on use. I've seen it obviously in movies and television, videos that are on the internet, to the point I feel like I know how I would react if I heard that, but I've never actually been in that situation where I've heard that hard ER, at the end of it. Even when it comes up, one of the most, I probably would say one of the most famous movies involving that with the hard ER, you've probably seen it, American History X.
I have.
First time I saw that, man, I was only probably 13, 14 years old. I was shook. I didn't know. and I'm white. Like, I didn't know how to handle any of that. Like, I grew up. So my mom's side, I have four cousins on my mother's side. All of them of mixed. They're all mixed race. So my one uncle, that it no longer my uncle, but growing up, he was always there. You know, we would go over there. You know, I'd hang out with his friends. I've heard the word with the A growing up my whole life, basically. You know, from him, from my neighborhood, and then later on, you know, with my friends and everything here. I've heard the A a lot. I've never actually sat in the presence of somebody that used the ER in, you know, within me being an earshot.
Now let's talk about that A for example. Did that, because you basically grew up with hearing the A, was there a clear separation in your mind when you were a teenager, growing up in adulthood, like, hey, there is a difference between the A and the ER? Or what I guess a better question is, was the A desensitized to you, wasn't as hateful, for the lack of a better term, than the ER was, because you heard it, you know, all around you?
I would say to an extent, mostly because, you know, with the A, it's always been, you know, one black guy to another, mostly, you know, or I've never, you know, mostly had only heard it come from the mouth of, you know, an African American, not, you know, obviously, you know, you get older, you get all those, you know, the wannabe white guys that want to act, use it and everything. But, you know, I always figured, you know, that was always, for me, was like a term of endearment. Like, I got greeted that way sometimes. So, like, I never put a bad stigma on that. Can't really say exactly when I realized that there was a difference between the A and the ER, you know, as like a set, like, oh yeah, I was like 13 when I realized this. You know, I've always known that was, you know, you don't use that word. And, you know, growing up, it was, you didn't use, you know, me didn't use any version of the word. Now we'll get into it in a little bit. You know, I'll let you carry on with how you want to go with this interview, but, you know, I did end up getting to a point where I was actually using it with the A. I would never ever use it with the ER, but yeah, we did get into that point where I was actually using it, but yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, so, you know, you bring up the point of the endearment, and I think that's a part that is nuanced, that when people have these conversations about, hey, why is it fair for you to use the IGA with the A, but I can't use the IGA with the A? And then we get into these conversations of, hey, we took a hate word, but we made a love word, or it's a word of endearment, like you said. What's very interesting is, as far as I know, and I have to do my own research, folks, I will do my own research, is a lot of other cultures, as far as I know, like I said before, whatever their hate word is or was, as far as I know, there is no separate version of that they call amongst themselves. Now, there might be, and if there is, comment below. Don't comment below. Let's not do that. let's not get me kicked off on the second one. I'll do my own research on my own end and figure it out. But you bring up the point that the African Americans said it to you as almost like a greeting, right? And I know back in the day, 50s and 60s and 70s and before, that word was not a word of endearment. That was a word of anger and hostility. We're talking both the A and the ER. You know, if I called another African American, hey, listen, my N-word, they was ready to fight. It was N-word, it was Uncle Tom, it was sellout. And again, doing my own look into it, having conversations like these with yourself and other people, of when did that word change from, hey, I will fight you over, to, oh yeah, what's up, my N-word, we dap up, we good to go. I don't know if I would assume a lot of that had to do with music. I would assume a lot of that has to do with, like I said, we took chicken bleep and made chicken food. You know, pig bleep and made pig food. Literally took chitlins, pig intestines, and made chitlins, which I don't know if you ever had chitlins, Kyle. I haven't, but I've seen my cousins knock it down. I can't do it personally. Maybe that's the part of my Islam that I don't have, but I can't do it, right? So, with all that being said, when did they allow you to say it? Or when were they were like, you know what, Kyle, what's up, my N-word? Yeah, you can go ahead and say it. Because there is a point in time where if the black people have that one white dude, that two white dude, and they're really cool with them, they're like, yeah, go ahead. You can say it. You know what I'm saying? It's like an indoctrinate into, it's like you're not a completely black card, but it's like maybe it's like a grayish card where it's like, you know what? Yeah, you can say it. Go ahead. When you sing the song, you can say it. So when, I don't know if there's an exact moment for you, but maybe there's a time where they were like, yeah, go ahead, Barney. You can say it to us.
Right. It's tough. Like with my friends, I can't think of, when that switch happened. Exactly. Like with my closest friends, with Derek, with Jerome, with Jimmy, in particular, I just, was one of those things, they had always used it, with me, around me. And, this probably, this would have been during my heavy medicinal days. So that probably fogs my memory a bit. But I think it just kind of happened. If I had to guess, I would guess it just kind of happened one time and nothing really, there was no real reaction to it. And it kind of went from there to where they didn't have a problem because with me, it was always genuine. Like I never put on this fake facade of trying to be something I'm not. Like, I mean, I'm a great mix. I'm great. I can meld with pretty much anybody. I can go from the countryest to country to hanging out with my inner city friends, and it's seamless for me. They realize that it's genuine like that for me. So I don't think they had too much issue with it. Now I do remember with one group in particular. So I coached high school football and track. I coached track for 7 years, and the school that I coached for, we didn't have a bus, so coaches and parents would have to transport kids to the track meets. So I had my parents' van at the time. I was one of the ones transporting, and we had this track meet out in Montpelier, which is a hick town out in Northwest Ohio, probably about hour and a half from Toledo. So most of the kids are knocked out in the back because it's 7:00 in the morning on a Saturday, and I'm in the car just bumping Rick Ross. I got Big Meech playing, and I'm just going along with it. And we get to the meet, and my car was full. I had a lot of the black kids were like to ride with me because I listened to that music and related with them better than a lot of the older. We had all white coaches, but they were all older except for me, so I think they related better to me. We get to the meet, and I thought they were all asleep. But my one guy, Jamal, he was one of my throwers, and we get out of the car. He's like, I heard you say it. I was like, oh man, I'm about to get fired. This is gonna go bad. He was like, you know what? I'm okay with it. You can rock that. I'm like, so I kind of it just kind of morphed into it for me, to where I did start using it. It started mostly with my friends. It was just all and that was the thing. I only used it with people that I knew. I'm not gonna go out there and with random, even if it's say I'm going out to the bar with Derek, me and Derek going out to the bar tonight, and it's another group of 5 or 6 African Americans that I've never met before. I'm not just gonna sit here. I would never sit there and just drop it freely like that because I don't know them. I don't know how they're gonna react to it. I know how Derek's gonna react to it, because we've been through it and he's cool with it. But I always had in my mind that sense of a respect with the word to only use it, with the people that I know are cool with me using it. At risk of overstepping and ending up in a really bad situation because this person doesn't give a damn how cool you are, how many, who all said you're allowed to use it. You're white, you're not allowed to use it, pulls out a weapon or something, and, I end up in a hospital bed. So I never wanted to go about that, and put somebody else in a situation where they're uncomfortable or me in a situation where I'd be possibly in harm's way. as far as in conversation. Now, you and I had talked. I had also, you know, used it in with music. I kind of led into that with the younger group. There's a very popular karaoke bar here in Toledo, and I would go up there, and I'm actually, hard to believe, maybe necessarily just looking at me, I'm actually pretty good at actually like rapping. I can't write, so that's why I'm not an actual rapper. I can't write lyrics, but when somebody else already has a song out, I can rap that song. So for me, it started with Notorious B.I.G., Big Papa. Most everybody is familiar with this song, and for the longest, I never had any issue. I used it because at that time I was still in that time where my friends were all cool with it, and I used it only in that public venue because it was lyrics to a song that I was doing, and never had any issues with it until maybe a year or so after I started doing this song, and I would do it pretty regularly, a few times a month, and so it's a funny story, sort of. So the one up to do it, and the first time he uses it is in the first chorus, and so I use it, and for the first time ever while I'm doing this, usually everybody's just hype, vibing and everything. I hear a group off to my left, like, whoa, did he just? I'm like, oh, okay, I haven't encountered that. It shook me for a minute. So the rest of that song, I radio censored myself, just so I could get off stage in one piece. So we come back the next week, right? I'm doing the same song again because that's the song that everybody, I would get requested to do it because it got the bar hype and ready to go for the night. So I'm doing it, and I start with the radio edit, and off to my right now, I hear a group saying, "No, man, say it." And there are a lot of guys that they look like you, not me. So I'm like, I'm getting hit on both sides on back-to-back weeks. Do I say it? Do I not? Like, so that was kind of funny. That one was the only incident I've had where I've actually gotten like criticized and called out for using it in a lyrical context. But yeah, so that's kind of been my usage of the word, and I went along with that with this layout that you gave me a basic question. I carried that way into another hemisphere, but
no, it's good. It's good, man. That's where this conversation is at. Like, listen, this is why I'm doing these talks. We can go off and bounce off to different places, man. This ain't one of these, structured. We're gonna do this and this. Nah, baby, we gonna walk into these stories. I want to hear it. I mean, and what you dropped was a lot of macro confusion from where people can have, right? So let's. I don't even know where to start.
There's a lot.
It is a lot. So, you brought up the point of the African Americans and Black people around you saw that you were genuine with who you were, and I think that's a huge part that the Caucasian part of the race of the species really has a trouble with, right? If you are just who you are, right, no matter where you came from, we are more accepting of who you are if you're willing to learn who we are than if you're trying to, for lack of a better term, mock what we do, because that's what it looks like, right? So you being Kyle Barney, growing up in northern part of Ohio, like you said, you meld with everybody. You cool with everybody. You are who you are, and so the African Americans, the Black people, they respect that. Now, if you would have came from, name an affluent place, and you came in with the pants sagging and the hat to the off to the side. What's up, my G's? What's up, my bro? Right. Then you would have more of a problem because they feel like you're mocking their culture. So that allows you more leeway with those particular Black people. Now, you bring up the situation with the bar and music specifically, and this is where I will have more musicians on to have this conversation, because it creates this confusion part where, like you say, your African American, your Black friends allow you to say it. Now, you go out to the bar, like in your example, am I not allowed to say it now because the other Black people, they might come down and kick me off to the stage? what are the rules here? Okay, you are a person of intelligence to in your past. You know what? Maybe now's not time for me to take home life into the real world. You see what I'm saying? Because just sitting at the crib, smoking an ale with the homies, smoking that black with the homies is a little different from, and we are in public, because we don't know how the public's gonna see you. The problem is there's a lot of people who aren't that smart. like they
Right.
whatever area they grew up in, it was part of their vocabulary, and when they go outside of that realm, they're not smart enough to say, hey, I shouldn't use it here. I'll give you a quick example. I know this is supposed to be about you talking, but I'll give you a quick example here, right?
Hey,
So
go show.
I'm at a golf outing, a work sponsored golf, not work sponsored. Not work sponsored. We people at work, we all went golfing, right? And one of the departments, one of the guys who, he's okay. He's not a bad dude, but you'll get why I do all this hand gesture in a minute, right? So we're on the first hole, okay? I forgot whatever happened. Maybe I hit a bad shot, whatever. I can't remember. He drops the Igga, right? He drops the Igga, right? Now, I'm sitting here as positioned as black person with this dude who I'm not that close with, but I'm in public, one. I just got there, too, so I paid my money, so I'm going to play my golf, okay, two. This dude just dropped the Igga. Now, what is my response, right? Do I go off on him? Do I let it slide, which creates other situation? What I chose to do was have a conversation with him, because he came and he was like, so, Lamont, I just grew up in an area where it was used. I don't mean it in a negative term. I said, okay, I understand what you're saying. However, if I allow you to just say it nonchalantly around here, other people might think it's okay to say it to me, and then that's the problem. And that's where it leads into the contextual part of, hey, do I like you or not? Do I, as black person, like you or not to allow you to say it? Even though I know the historical ramifications of it. Generally, white people do. If they don't, I would have to question a lot of their mindset. Like, how do you not know? But because a lot of it is contextualized, it does create this confusion in white people where they're like, so can we say it or not?